I don't know if anybody, I'm from Burundi. I came here in 95. Around that time, we've been having civil wars and people killing each other en masse. You know, we're talking about 1,000 and stuff like that. And I was myself victim of the war. So I came here very fragile young boy, shaken to the core. And every time I speak with people and they say, what's your connection with Wales? And I say, Wales for me is my spiritual home. It's a home from home, you know. I remember coming in these rooms and the headmaster then, who just passed away I think last year, Colin Jenkins, the first word he said was, you are the future leaders of this world. Can you feel that in your bones? If you have it in you. So that was a wake up. And here I am. I graduated doing politics and economics. I thought I was going to go back home and fix it. But we're still working at peace. So this December, I'm taking my children and we'll have a festival of peace and hope again. The same theme that is around. So I'm going to play one of the songs that I written in my language. It's called Agahengwe, meaning the purest peace of peace. So I haven't played guitar in a while, so you have to bear with me. Ramariza iyo baja yuti n'abagenzi bansiga inyuma abagenzi n'inshuti bansiga inyuma ambwiye yotuja ambwiye ubuzima n'umwanya muto ira gumutima we chuti yarangumgire yo tuja yo tuba beba makanya ngire yo tuja yo tuba ngire Joe is Joseph, Vudze, Umutima ukire, Agahengwe, Umutima ukire, Agahengwe. Janda janda usiwogiye haber umugabo nyaka iraruwe oh yo yeah oh hey gira umutima ugire akahengwe gira umutima ugire akahengwe oh hey hey So this is the next part, so I get to leave my friends here to lead it. Here you go.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That was absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
We're actually now going to do a Q&A with the man himself. So we'll see. But yeah.
JP, so we did some research on you, and there's one specific thing we found that was really interesting. So it was when you were telling a story about your life and how you, in the middle of war-torn country, you went back to your school to grab this notebook that inspired your future lyrics and, I'm going to assume, work with the Black Belts as well. So tell us a little about how that was like your inspiration, how that was your hope, your source of hope, this little book.
People dig, huh? I remember before I came to AC, just before we had the war in 93. So just that year, 93, as a teenager, I was in love. And this young lady wrote a poem, the first poem, because I lived in the city, but I go to boarding schools in the countryside. So that year, when I came for summer, we got to know each other, we fell in love. She wrote a poem, and she called it The Holiday Boy. Only saw me in the holidays, because I go to boarding schools. And I remember she ran to me and gave me this poem, and I was on a bus to go to school. And in the bus, I read it, and I was like, oh. I was like straight punched in. I was like, oh my God, those words. It's like, you know what? I gotta write back, I have to start writing. And actually, she's the one who put me in the love of writing and reading a lot. And I found her very witty and all that. And very close to her, she was, I can call emotional intelligence. And I couldn't see anyone around me who had that level. So at school, I remember start writing poetry. And there was a club for writing poems about peace. So I started writing all these poems for peace. So I was in what they call cycle inférieur. There's a cycle inférieur and a cycle supérieur. So in the higher level, you could go to science or letters, or, languages, or to teach or something. But I had like 3 years before that. So I remember start writing this piece for the country, poetry, and I won the sort of trophy on the national level. And I was like, wow, that whole love things to the piece. And I remember risking a lot of my classes, like being in a, like chemistry class, but I'm having an encyclopedia looking for a word, origin of a word. and I nearly got sent home to get parents for not focusing the class. So then when we flee from the war, we were in another area. So in a refugee camp, people were having dysentery because there's no toiletry, there's no any, hygiene. So there were kids, grown old people. And I was lucky to find a family member living in the area, So while I was there, they were, oh, you were part of those who survived there. Some of us have been killed or that. And I sat there for a few hours in the comfort, and I felt guilty. I can't stay in the family when I left everyone there. So in the evening, there was this head of the army who was there and saying that, reporting all the problems that are accruing with a refugee camp. Then I kind of said to him, listen, I think we just paid our fees, school fees, and I know the stock is full to the brim. If you give us soldiers and whatever, we can go and bring all the stock and we feed everyone. Obviously, I had a second plan in my head. I was going to get my poetry book. So that's the story.
I wanted to ask, as you were a student here, what were your hopes then? And what kind of hopes do you have now, if you can?
Funny enough, I remember when I got shot in Burundi. I was in hospital. I was declared that I am I'm a goner. And I remember having a dream in the night with, I say, God, angel, whatever, standing like here, and I was standing there. The person who showed to me was here, and we had a conversation without words, like almost telepathy. And the old word that comes to me, look in this light, and I said, forgive him because he don't know what he's done. Because all I saw we could be babies, and this hatred, this killing happening, it's taught in a society. It's taught. We're not born with it. This racism, this hate, it's taught for a certain reason. We need to get the reasons why. It's usually security, power, or whatever. Inadequacy also, So I remember saying, forgive him because he don't know what he's done. And I woke up in the morning, and the priest was there with his helper trying to give me the last rites. I laughed at his face, And I laughed his face because I dropped from 76 kilos to 38. And I had maggots as pus. I couldn't go to the toilet. I had half the body not moving, And the priest came there to say the last rites. And I remember laughing, and he looked at me and goes, why are you laughing? I'm trying to tell you something serious here, And I said, I don't think so. I think I'll live longer. I said, I'll live longer because I started realizing that I was living between four walls. The books I read, the poetry I wrote, I read a lot of stuff. I could just feel like I watch movies. I could just see the world, other places had other way of living, that I felt the way we see life back home, the hatred, killing each other, suffocating each other, was not it. That's not the picture of life I saw. I thought, I need to travel the world to prove myself that the way we live is not the way. So because we have a proverb in my language called, akanyoni katagurutse nikamenya iyo bweze. A bird that don't fly will never know where the harvest is. So in a dream, I saw myself going around the world, meeting people from all over the world. So I told the priest, I think I've seen me going around the world. He laughed. He said, God works in mysterious ways. He told me another story of a woman who never wanted to leave, developed a problem of the throat, tropical disease. And then France doctors saw her. I said, bring her over. We fix her. She always wanted to go to France to study. And once she was there after being treated, they told her, we need to stay around so we can carry on monitoring. So it's going to take long. What do you want to do? I always want to study here. No problem. She was there. She said, see, God works in different ways. And when I said that, and that's how I came to AC. And in one place, I found people from all over the world. And now, doing the music, I'm going around the world. So there you go. Never underestimate. Yeah.
Okay, for one final question from our side. How do you think the IB should use education and its resources to inspire change making into the future, and to how do you think they should portray hope, and especially with subjects such as music that have such a large stigma around it, how do you think the IB can sort of conform around there and create hope and inspire people to create actions that cause waves of change?
It's fun enough because it's like almost a month ago we were in a WhatsApp group. We were here. We dropped the bomb in and go like, come on. Because we saw what's going on at number 10. We go like, why do we have in the modern times extreme rights, racism, incompetent people in high places? And in AC, Atlantic College, UWC, for years, of course, we started from the 50s. You have to remember the people who created this movement of this type of education. Is, decades and decades. I think now we have a good database. We know a lot of people have achieved greatly over time. But I think there's something about, and it's also pressurizing when you're starting now. And I think there could be a lot of networking more and coming together past these 2 years and activating, networking, doing things together, a network of support. Because we know the bond you live here with, it's for life, It's for life, the bond you live from here. And you find the values that you get to learn from this network, because we're international. Remember, the word is international understanding. And you have to say, we used to say that to not worry about the difference is where the wealth is. So we are the proof of that, So I think there's need of boldness, maybe capacity built beyond the 2-year system. And I think there's a lot of people in the network, past and present, and friends of this network. It could be a very serious movement, a serious movement to be bold, to go into places to implement those changes that we have conversations. Because in my year, we used to have politics, history, religious talks between ourselves. So that's what we could do. We could probably more be bolder.
And now we'll be taking some questions from the audiences to see what everyone thinks.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if anyone has a question, just please raise your hand. Yeah? I will take the mic to them. Yeah. Do you want to come up? Yeah? And what's your question?
I just wanted to ask with all these stickers, I feel like the common theme of today is asking what gives you hope today. So I just wanted to ask, what makes you hopeful that we will be able to make a change in the world and kind of save it, let's say?
The word that keeps coming to me, I remember even talking like this, it's very fragile to live this world. You have what I call seasons. The season you are very inspired. The season you are, something really out of control. And I think if you look at the history of humankind, we've used 3 things in our body. We have mind, body, and soul. Sometimes we focus too much on the mind, If religious, meditate, or be one of yourself, be one of the environment, communicate with it, because changes begin with us ourselves, and listening to your own, because we all have, I think, our own particularities, our own place. If we have different prints, there's no 2 prints in our. So, which means what you're going to do is different from him, your brother, your sister. So I think we have to trust the inner voice, our inner voice, and find what really makes you feel you can provide or contribute best, and trust that. Even there's a blueprint of how to go, just trust. You can create the blueprint, or just a pathway other people can use, But you just have to always, if you get shaky, go back to yourself. It's almost, I have to use the mind, I have to use my emotional, I have to understand how my emotions work. I I have to learn myself, because sometimes we're pushing, sometimes we're change, too much noise, and sometimes nothing, because we're making noises. Because somewhere I think inside, if it's aligned, when you suggest it, it's magical, it happens, you know, and let other people find their path to do it, you know. And I will invite everyone to use all that constitute you, you know, because you can fill your head so much, and then here, you never tended. You never tended your spirituality, you know, you never tended your how you connect to every environment, the, you know, other people stuff. So I think start within it and see where you fit in, and don't be scared to start something new, and don't be scared to fall apart. Just know it's part of the process. And whatever goes up, falls down, and it can get up again. Just know your season. I know my season during the year, and I have to find, if I need to feed my brain, I need to feed my emotions, I need to feed my spirit, or the body, exercise, whatever. So I need to find what's missing. And if you monitor yourself and get it as a healthy thing, you're already contributing a lot to this world. Yeah.
Okay, we'll have one more question. One last question. Anyone? Yeah?
Hi, I just have one question. So what made you decide, okay, music is something what I want to do, and something that I think that can contribute to a more peaceful world, and that can bring me some hope?
Yes, I realized when I was back home, still young, because I used to be a choreographer for a school. I loved music. I danced, and I remember how I used to love the words, and I really saw like Bob Marley, what he did and stuff like, and it's the other artists. And also for me, I start realizing the way I want to live the world, the way I want to contribute the world. There's no institution I saw myself in. I used to dream to be in the army back home, and that disappeared as soon as I got here. And I wanted to be working the UN and all that. That disappears, like I don't feel it anymore. But that dream of trying to be a musician, my mom back then used to say, you're gonna die of hunger, you're gonna, you know, all these things. And I saw myself having a platform that's free from institutions, free from anybody, that could curtail what I want to say or to express myself. It's what I call the great escape, because having survived 3-4 times, I just always have my independence, and music gives me that. Yeah.